I'll have to wait for it to pop up.
Wait for it.
Good evening, everybody. I gotta wait for it to pop up right here, so I'll know that is that we're on, because it's live.
Good evening.
Say hello, everybody.
No, I don't want to. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Facebook Live. Tony and Nicole, your marriage and family mentors. We're Thursday, 7 o'clock.
Yes.
What's today? The Thursday?
The 8th.
February 8th, 7 o'clock.
Yes.
Welcome.
We're so glad that you're anticipating our arrival and looking forward to joining us. So come on in here.
Mm-hmm.
Who is that? Is that Jay?
That's Jay.
That's our son. Hey, son.
Welcome. Thanks for tuning in.
Okay, here we are. Okay, so I'm in the process of sharing this so that others will know that we're on. Just give us a second.
Mm-hmm. Well, while you're sharing that, I'll just go ahead and
go ahead
and start talking about what we're going to discuss today. And
okay,
since this is February,
the month of love.
Is it the month of love, or do we just call it the month of love?
Well, Valentine's Day. So
okay.
That's really where we got it from.
Mm-hmm. So for the husbands who are tuning in, and if you're watching it live, if you're tuning in on the rebroadcast, that's fatigue talking. Grab your wife, come on in and listen to what we're going to talk about tonight. I think it's going to really bless you and edify you. Last week we actually talked about searching for the good things in your spouse.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
And that was good. We got pretty good feedback on that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's also very important. Search for the good things in your spouse and not dwell on the negative. It's going to set the tone for your day, your weeks,
mm-hmm.
your years, your months, your years, and just really the quality of your days.
Right.
Very important that you do so. Hopefully you had an opportunity to practice some of that stuff that we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just put it to practice and reap some of the benefits of focusing on the good things as opposed to the negative things in your spouse.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And the thing about that, because we did say, to go ahead and start thinking better about your spouse. And if you didn't get to see it, you can always go to our Facebook page, Empower to Engage, and all of our videos are there. Every one that we've done so far to introduce our books and what we talked about last week, and also, from when we did the Mountain Masters Conference, we also had that talk on there about personal integrity. So feel free to not only watch the videos, but like our page and share this video, share any of the videos with those that you think would benefit. If it's enriching you in any way, please, because we're on an all-out war path now for families. We want to see families strengthened. We want to see marriages strengthened, and we're doing it one Thursday at a time right now. Huh?
So, we want you to get the results that we know you've been designed to obtain, and don't just talk about it, have some good Bible studies about it, but actually put the work in, do the hard work, because it's worth it. You can do it, and you can get your desired results.
Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm really blessed at how people are responding and the feedback that we're getting from the videos. We really want the men, because you said that earlier, men grab your wives. We mean that.
Yeah, or wives grab your husband. You do that too.
We do. We want the men. We really want to hear from you, men. If these broadcasts are blessing you.
Well, I've heard from them that it's blessing them.
Okay.
But men aren't going to comment on Facebook.
Well,
at least not the men our age. Maybe the younger men.
They might.
The men our age, they don't really comment on Facebook.
They might. Well, they do.
Yeah, man.
Well, let's see. Let us know. Give us some feedback. Feel free to comment, ask us questions, give us feedback, things that you'd like to hear us talk about. We can definitely do that too. We want to expand this as much as possible. And it doesn't just have to be what Tony and I want to talk about, although we are marketing our books. If you haven't received this book yet, this is Marriage Done Right. It's hard work, but it's worth it. It's a 31-day guide to put the fun, fire, and focus back into your marriage. This is one book that we have. And then we also have our parenting book if you need assistance with your parenting. These are called the Done Right series. So Parenting Done Right is hard work. but it's worth it. And this is a 31-day guide with practical and effective parenting tips to win the battle for your children. And then finally, we have leadership done right. It's hard work, but it's worth it. And this tagline is 31 essential disciplines to becoming a leader of impact from the inside out.
Yeah, work on yourself. Get the beam out of your own eye before you start working on inspecting other people's eyes, and really become good at what you do before you start trying to lead other people, because you know you can only produce what you have. In other words, you can't give other people what you don't have, so you need to get it first. And that's what that leadership book is all about.
And all of the books are set up as devotionals, so every day has a topic. You can read them in order, but you don't have to. And then there are questions and note pages for you to be able to take notes, write down your ahas or things that you want to work on. All of this is to help you to become leaders of impact, or parents of impact, or husbands and wives of impact, that we're not just talking about it, because that's the problem, right?
Really, husbands and wives of unity. Right. I don't know what impact means of husband.
Well, it's taking what we talk about in here and doing it.
Yeah, but
so that's greater impact. At least I believe that's greater impact.
Sure, what would impact? I have to say unity, functioning as one, and you can reduce the strife.
Would that cause some kind of greater impact in the relationship, you think? No? Don't. Be careful.
The statement itself doesn't make as much sense to me.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Husband and wives of impact, but a husband and wife that's flowing together in unity, purpose, and destiny. I like that. Now, granted, does it all culminate into ultimately having some sort of impact? Sure, but
well, what are we doing as husbands and wives? Are we having impact?
Yeah, we've been having impact for years. That's why we're doing what we're doing now.
That's my point.
Okay, but we have to have it. The impact doesn't come without the unity, but that's not what we're talking about tonight. What we're going to talk about tonight, the topic we're going to talk about is actually one of the topics in the book. It's appreciation grants access. And we think that's a very important
appreciation grants access
concept. And so when we talk about what we're going to really talk about, we're going to talk about it in a couple phases. Now we're going to talk about what appreciation really means, right? And access to what. And when we talk about access, what do men and women really want? And I say it tongue in cheek, but I'm also very serious about it. When we start talking about access, what we're talking about is we really want to get in. Men think about it usually from a physical perspective, and women usually think about it from an emotional perspective, right? They both want to get in. I think you can read between the lines, or you can read no between those lines, but you know what I'm talking about. When we say you want to get in, right? So, but the way you get in, and the prerequisite to getting in is really showing some appreciation. That's what you need to do to get in and get in and actually have the other person allow you in and want you to get in. Right.
And so then I guess we really need to look at what does appreciation look like for men and women. So for us, for women, appreciation is, first of all, being able to help, be around, be present. If you see us cooking,
help. Just say, help with what?
Yeah, if you see us cooking, if you see us helping the children with homework, but yet still need to wash the dishes. If you see us, if we've gotten groceries and you didn't go with us and the bags are out in the car and you hear me coming in, or husbands, you hear your wives coming in, stop what you're doing and make yourself available to help her.
So why does that fall under the category of appreciation from a woman's perspective?
Well, because you're helping. You're a partner, you're a partnership. And so if I'm doing these things, I'm doing these things for the family. So you show appreciation by helping me to do these things to better the family. So, and it's not just that, it's showing appreciation for how I look. Like if I've spent time at the beauty salon, if I've, bought these new outfits and I'm wearing them, when you see your wife put on that new outfit, or hopefully you notice the new nail color that she has on because she just came from the salon, to show appreciation for her taking the time to care for herself in that way. That goes a long way. That's really important to a woman.
And how does a man show that appreciation for a woman?
By complimenting her.
Oh, using his mouth?
Complimenting her. Oh, definitely. And even with meals. So it doesn't just have to be her clothes. You can compliment the meal. So she's cooked the meal, you've eaten the meal. You obviously were either hungry or it was good, or it could be both.
Combination of both.
So compliment the meal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, baby, that was so good. And even if it's something you've had many, many times before, if it's the same good, you can give the same compliment over and over
As
again.
opposed to saying, oh, baby, you know you do a good job cooking chicken, lasagna, whatever you make.
Right. Oh, baby, I told you before. I like it when you fix it.
But you know what, Nick? Go back to the thing about the looks.
Okay.
Because men have to learn how to compliment their women because she looks good, as you said, especially when she's putting that extra effort to do so. Because I'm gonna tell you, just in my dealings, I've come across a lot of women, and I'm not even using that. That's not even an exaggeration when I say a lot of women who they've been married for quite some time. Some of them married as long as we have, or close to it, or some of them even married longer than we have been married, and their husbands are so complimentary adverse that now they've convinced themselves that they don't even need it. Yeah, they've said, you know what, my husband just doesn't compliment me. But and the way I know that is because sometimes I'll say, oh, so and so, you have a nice jacket. Oh, did you cut your hair? You know, whatever. And I may notice, just notice them as I do, but it's like, oh yeah, my husband, he doesn't say anything, And I find it really odd because you're telling me that your husband doesn't say anything to you. Right. And it's not important to you. So why would you say that as opposed to just simply saying thanks because I may have noticed that you cut your hair or you changed your hairstyle or whatever the case may be. So what I would say is husbands definitely go out of your way to compliment your women. And especially those of you, here's where you can really mess it up. You can mess it up by not complimenting your woman, but then some other woman comes around and then you compliment her.
Right. Right. So it's case in point in what you're saying. Say if you were going to work and you were noticing that these women were getting their haircuts or they come in with new shoes on or a new coat and you compliment or acknowledge that. But yet if you didn't do that at home, that would be a problem.
Yeah, but that's not our problem.
Well, that's definitely not our problem. Tony is very complimentary and I love it. But the thing of it is women across the board, it doesn't matter how long you've been married, it doesn't matter how old you are, you want to be complimented. Women want to be complimented. We want to be noticed, we want to be acknowledged, and we want it from our men. So
what does it do to you? I mean, what does it do for you, I guess I should ask, when I compliment you, or just women in general, when a man compliments?
Well,
and especially in those situations where you, like you said, you notice that she's put the extra work in.
Well, think about it back when you were courting. First of all, nobody had to tell you what to do. You were full of compliments already. You were on the hunt. You were pursuing her, and so you did whatever it required in your mind without anybody even having to tell you because you wanted her. Those things that you did that allowed you to get her. Those are the same things that the woman wants you to continue to do even as you're married. So when you were doing it, I'm going to tell you, when you did it, when we were courting, it made me feel special. It made me know that you wanted me. It made me know that you desired me. So wanted me as your woman, but desired me as a woman. It made me know that what I had looked good.
What you mean? What you had made, like your coat, or
whatever it was that you were complimenting, whether it was the way I look, my physique, what I'm wearing, whatever it is, when it's acknowledged by a man, and that's why it's so important that a husband does it, because the impact is the same whether it's from a husband or not a husband. But if it's from somebody that is like a Tyrone, kind of like from Martin,
Martin had Tyrone.
Was it Tyrone? What was his name?
Jerome
from Martin. If he looked like that, then you're not feeling like, yeah, give me the compliment. But if any good-looking man gives a woman a compliment, she's going to feel the same way about it.
And it may as well come from you.
And it should come from you first.
And for those of you who can tell, I just put my hand on the thigh.
It should come from you first.
But I think the damaging part to that can be also for a woman, because we're talking about appreciation grants access. For the woman who doesn't get compliments from her husband, and then to have another woman come around and he compliments her.
Yes.
The woman may not say anything, but we know talk about what may be going through her mind when she hears her husband compliment some other. Because look, I mean, I know, look, from a wardrobe perspective, here's how we have our wardrobe set up. We have dressy outfits when we go out to dress, and when it comes time to dress for the nines, we can definitely do that. We have our business casual and casual outfits, like now, just wear casual stuff, but it's usually quality stuff, right?
Yes.
You know, we don't spend a lot of money on our stuff, but our stuff is usually quality, so it looks good when wearing it. And then we have our athletic stuff. We wear it in all three rounds. Okay. But in those situations when you dress up, you know you at the top of the charts, and it is not hard for you to get a compliment from men and women. You know, so I've heard a lot of men compliment you, then of course they look at me and then compliment me too for you and all that kind of, man, Tony, you know, like I want to punch you in your throat, but but go ahead. So anyway, for the woman who may not get compliments from her husband, but then to hear her husband compliment some other woman.
So it depends on how long it's been going on, because it's just like the woman that you said, when you give her a compliment and you ask if her husband said anything, she's like, oh, I don't care, or it doesn't matter if he compliments.
It's not necessary, right?
So that becomes a defense mechanism for the woman, because she's been rejected, you know, or she's been undervalued. I mean, that's what it becomes.
So she really feels undervalued.
Yes. And so, and now she's put up this defense in order to accept that she's undervalued, so that it doesn't bother her anymore, or she'll make it seem like she doesn't need that anymore, when actually she does need that.
And when she feels undervalued, how does that make her feel towards her husband when he's undervaluing her? Does she feel, is she more attracted to him? Is she less attracted to him? Is she attracted to him exactly the same way? Because, you know, he wants access too, right?
And that's what we're talking about. Appreciation grants unlimited access. So where there's no appreciation, the wife is less likely, less inclined to grant access, or she's granting access out of duty as opposed to out of desire. So
and the man can feel that too.
Right. And so if the man is wondering, well, why are you acting like this? Well, it's because you've not shown her the necessary or needed attention that she would love to have without having to tell you, please show me some attention. She would love to have that, because that's how she can feel desired before we get to the bedroom. When you already know what you want to go straight to it. But for a woman, of course, it takes a little more.
Foreplay begins way before the bedroom, right?
Right, but the compliment is not even really about that. It's just showing appreciation for the woman that you are married to, or the man that you're married to. You just want to value them and make them feel wanted and special by offering compliments or acknowledging something that they've done. So what does a man want? What does a man need to feel appreciated?
Well, you know, the biggest thing for a man is just respect, honor and respect. Honor and respect are like on a scale way off the charts for a man. You know, don't disrespect them.
Well, what does disrespect look like? Because that's a pretty broad word. Well,
disrespect for him, a lot of men, it could really be subjective, right? But I know, like, for instance, with me, one of the things I said to you is, if you disagree with me, don't loud talk me or roll your eyes at me in public. Because if you do that, I'll feel really disrespected. For a man, a lot of times disrespect could be, if, you know, first of all, a lot of men are guarded. A lot of men are guarded, and they don't like to talk. I mean, even when men talk to other men, a lot of times the conversations are very superficial. They don't really get into the feelings. And for a man, if he shares with his wife and he starts sharing some intimate things, some of his deep thoughts and his opinions about things, especially areas where he's vulnerable, if you share that, then that can be a lack of honor. So with that being said, I feel like I'm about to burst, but the converse is also true. If you hold that information and then actually come into my world and we actually function as a unit and as friends, and I know that you're there for me or you're there for him, and you're helping him and you believe in him and you're helping him build and fulfill his call, his purpose, and his destiny in his life, then that's going to be a sign of respect. But anything opposite of that is going to feel like a disrespect. And I will say this too, for the woman who, if you get your man to a point where he is opening up to you and he's actually sharing his feelings, and you've made a lot of progress if you're doing that. But if you burn them, it's going to be really hard to get them to open up again. And for a woman, I know that's one of the things, that's part of the acts that you want. You really want him to come in and share his feelings and just really his innermost being. And he will do that with you eventually, and maybe baby steps. But once you get in there, but if you burn him, just know burning him simply means by sharing with somebody else. And I know a lot of times women, most women share with their best friends and all that good stuff. But if you share some things that he just didn't want shared, that could be that can be a real sign of disrespect to him. But I mean, certain men disrespect, and like I said, it can be very subjective.
Now, are compliments important to a man?
I would say for the most part, no. I don't. Granted, I don't know if there's a bright line test for that, but I think for the most part, men don't necessarily want compliments because based on their looks.
Okay.
But men want compliments for what they do.
Okay.
The men want to feel appreciated. I mean, if you think about it from a construction perspective, I just use this example. When it may seem really insignificant, but men will look at a wall, and every time they walk past that wall, they'll know I put up that wall. That's my wall. So compliments from the perspective of just appreciating what he does.
So I need to admire that wall too. Woo, baby, look at that wall.
Yeah.
My baby put that wall up.
Exactly. But I'm gonna tell you where and it kind of goes. So it kind of goes back to like showing appreciation for a woman. One of the things that we talk about a lot of times is what you have to do is sacrifice. Just sacrifice some of your time and do something that, or not do something that you may really want to do, and you sacrifice that time to give time to your spouse, right, or your wife. And since we're talking about to your wife, since I'm about what men would do for women. And one of the things that you can do to show that appreciation or that compliment is so for instance, let's say if there's a 4:00 football game, and it may not be the Ravens. Let's say if it's the Patriots and back in the day, the Patriots and the Colts, and you had like a Tom Brady, Peyton Manning game, or it's going to be a shootout, it's going to be a very good game, and say, okay, I want to watch that game, but say, what, but you may want to do something else, and I forego watching that to spend time with you to do something that you want to do. And it may be something that I may not necessarily want to do, but for you to even acknowledge that, like, like say, hey, babe, and it's really not that big of a deal, but it goes a long way. Babe, I know you really want to watch that game, but I appreciate you doing this for me. And of course, the response would be no big deal. I really want to be with you. But for you to acknowledge it in that way, when you acknowledge what I've actually done or the sacrifice that I've made, that goes a long way. Because, the converse is a lot of times true with a lot of women. They'll be like, hey, look, you should be doing this. Right. You should be wanting to spend more time with me. I'm more important than that game. That game don't sleep with you at night, whatever sisters may say to their men that tick them off. But to show appreciation in that way is really good for a man. It makes him feel like, okay, she noticed, even though, granted, even though I just said that, he may not articulate it, but that's how he's going to feel anyway.
Right.
He's going to feel like, okay, yeah, she noticed, and you'll see a little extra pep in his step.
And and the thing that's really crazy about this is, we've been married for 26 years, and these things never go away, and we think they do. And I've learned just as we've gone along that you never tire of being appreciated. I never tire of being appreciated. And unfortunately, the longer you've been married, you start taking each other for granted. You can take each other if you're not cognizant, you can definitely take each other for granted. Right. And get into the duty mode. Right. And so, and it becomes humdrum, and it becomes monotonous, and it becomes boring. And you're no longer courting each other. You're no longer thinking about what do I need to do to make this person happy or smile or to have a good time, or to show how much I love him or her, show how much I appreciate him or her. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't even cost a lot. It's just an acknowledgement. It's just time. It's just attention. It's those little things like that if we're mindful of them every day, how can I show appreciation to my spouse today? Like you said, even in the tone of voice, just an acknowledgement of a sacrifice. Those are the kind of things that continue to strengthen the love and the bond between a husband and a wife.
And you have to really go out of, really have to be cognizant of the fact, or really mindful of the fact that I must do this. It's not just a tip. It's a need. Because if you want the access, so women, if you want to get your man's heart, you got to appreciate him. Otherwise, he's going to shut down on you, and he's going to spend a lot of time in areas that have nothing to do with you. So for instance, if he's spending all his time at work, because he can get satisfaction there, and even if he's not really appreciated per se, and because most people hate their jobs, I think the BLS stats bear that out, but nevertheless, he knows he can go there and do a good job, and at the end of the day, he can feel good about himself because he say, you know what, I'm paying the bills, I'm taking care of home, so he knows how to get satisfaction there. But the reality is, you want him to come spend some of that time with you, and you guys can bond, because the reason you got married is to share your lives together. I mean, that's the reason you get married. You have decided, I want to share my life with this person. No one goes down the aisle saying we're going to live two separate lives in the same house. That's not the goal. But a lot of people fall into that, and the women, they'll complain, he doesn't talk to me, and then the men will complain that she doesn't give me any. Right? I mean, look, let's just cut right to the chase. That's the big deal. She won't give me any, and he won't talk, and then they go around, they feel distant, and we know that's one of the enemy's tactics, to keep us separate and apart. And that's how he comes in and steals, kills, and destroys. I mean, he destroys our communication, destroys our relationships. But one of the ways that we can fight back against him, and that is really just focus on appreciating your spouse. I know one of the things that I do for you is sometimes I'll buy you just stuff out of the blue, and for a while there, it was a struggle, because you have a unique taste in clothes and jewelry. And I would buy you stuff, and then I used to get offended when you didn't like it. So then for a while there, I'm like, I'm not going to do it, But then especially with jewelry, with the watches, I bought you 4 or 5 watches, and from my perspective, you never wore them. You keep telling me that you wore those watches, but I've never seen those watches on your wrist, But I've gotten smarter over the years, and thank God for the advancements in technologies, because now, I mean, what do? I'll call you and I'll say, hey, babe, I'm looking at this. I want to get this for you. Sometimes I'll take a picture of it. Sometimes I'll say, hey, I saw this at such and such a place. I need you to take a ride with me to see if you like it. If you don't like that, come get something else. I just want to buy something for you. I think this will look good on you. And every now and then I'll just like, you know what, bump it. I'm just going to be all brave and commando. I'll just go buy it. And then if you don't like it, you roll your eyes at me. Then I'll just take it back the next day.
Well, and then the other thing, from my perspective, I need to be mindful of how that makes you feel, because I didn't know that. Like having the watch on and making sure it's showing, or even to say to you, Tony, look, I'm wearing the watch you bought me. I had no idea that if I would do that, that would make you feel like, I won, or I'm a winner, whatever that makes you feel.
You feel like you did a good job, as opposed to, you do it and then it just sits in a drawer. Right. But I know in your case, the biggest appreciation you told me a long time ago was like, babe, just wash the dishes. If you can just wash the dishes, that'll make me feel really good. And then a little bit of wisdom kicked in. That had to be from the Holy Ghost, because like if I'm washing dishes and then I even started washing clothes, realizing that, oh, when I do this, she has more energy. So now it's like, do I want her energy coming this way? That's right. Or do I want her energy spent washing dishes and folding clothes? So
right. And then started going to the grocery store. I mean, you really got it, because we were raising children, we were both going to school, we were both working, and so there needs to be a division of labor, as opposed to thinking this is a woman's job to do these things, or this is a man's job. It's how can we support each other so we can have time for one another.
And that made you feel appreciated.
Yes, it did.
And which granted me more access.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And it's not hard, is it?
You know what? And that's the thing about it. So
it seems like
it seems really difficult, because you talk to a lot of men, and I guess women will probably say the same thing. If you ask them, they say, I just can't figure her out. I don't know what she wants. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. And the thing about it, all you have to do is just ask. Yeah. Just sit down and ask her. And when she gives you something as simple as, babe, what I really need from you is you to help me out around the house a little more. You can actually wash the dishes. And at that time, our dishwasher was broken, and we were just either too broke or too lazy to get it repaired. But so I need you to help with the dishes, and you can actually help with these clothes. And if you do that, I would really appreciate it. But I'm looking for something all grandiose to do, so that you can be more attracted. And the reality, the thing that made me more attractive was simply busting some suds in the kitchen. Right. It wasn't going to the gym and getting cop diesel, as you say. Yeah. It wasn't those kind of things, or trying to take me out, because I'm tired for that too. Yeah, I don't want to go out. Right. Right. It's just being a part of everyday living.
so that we can be able to enjoy each other.
And that made you feel appreciated.
Yes.
Because, and what I would say to the men is, sit down and talk to your wives, and when she gives you the layup, man, take the layup. You don't have to go out there and shoot a fadeaway 3-pointer when she's giving you the layup. And the layup in this particular case was, babe, washing dishes.
Mm-hmm. And then how about that? It may change. In this season, it is the washing dishes, or it is the going grocery shopping. But as the children get older, or as our responsibilities change, then the needs change. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that you were saying, as we were talking about, as we were putting this stuff together, is how buying flowers doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
But now I'm in a season of my life where, you know what, flowers are kind of.
You in that season? You didn't tell me you were in that season.
No, remember a couple of months ago, somebody had brought flowers for me, and it was like, you know what, I'm really enjoying these flowers. We had the conversation, and so you were like, see, this is how difficult it is, but with a conversation.
Yeah, because actually, but when you said that, see, even with that, I didn't know that. Okay, you wanted flowers, and I thought.
But that doesn't mean I want flowers. That means I don't mind flowers. Whereas before it was like, no, I don't want flowers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so look, let me just let the people in who are watching this understand the whole deal about flowers. Okay. Because, a lot of times with men, because our skills are so limited, we buy flowers and jewelry and all that kind of good stuff. So one day what I did, you know how you had the guys on the side of the road selling flowers for $5. So I decided.
This was over a decade.
Yeah, this is a long time ago.
And it's sizzled in there.
Yeah, it's entrenched.
Okay.
But what I did, and I don't know why. I knew I wasn't going to see you when I got home. So what I did, I bought the flowers from the guy, and I just went upstairs to the bedroom, and I put the flowers on the bed. Mm-hmm. And you came home, and I was gone. But then we were talking on the phone, and when you went upstairs, you were talking to me on the phone, and you screamed like, you know how y'all sisters do, all loud and crazy. Mm-hmm. But you had Josh with you at the time, and he was probably what, like
2 or 3?
Yeah, so no,
maybe 4.
Yes.
Okay, let's give him 4.
Yeah, he was young. Mm-hmm. So you lost your mind because flowers were there, and that was my way of showing appreciation for you. So then, of course, at that time, he saw you lose your mind. So every time he saw flowers,
a dandelion, a weed, anything outside,
yeah, he would just pick it up and give it to you as a flower. Yes. But you lost your mind when you saw flowers. But the reality is you couldn't stand flowers because it's like, why are you spending money on flowers when you can feed me with that money?
I like a good meal.
Flowers v. steak.
Yes.
I'll take the steak 10 times out of 10.
Right.
So don't spend money on flowers for me. So, in your case, some women may love a bouquet of flowers. In your case, you much rather have a nice meal. Mm-hmm. That's your appreciation. Hey, babe, let's go out and eat. And if I can say, hey, let's go out and eat, and I found a new spot, it's kind of hard to find a new spot that you don't already know about.
That's not true.
Yeah, that's very true. Mm-mm. I'll come up with a spot like, oh yeah, not only do I know about it, I've already eaten there.
So let's check this out. So going back to the flowers. Mm-hmm. So even though I really didn't care for flowers, mm-hmm. you wouldn't have known that from the way I responded to the flowers.
Not at all.
But a conversation later let you know, babe, the flowers were nice, mm-hmm. but what I really like is X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. And those are the kind of things that we can do with one another just to help each other out. Yes. So in the moment, whatever the nice thing is that your spouse is doing, let's just appreciate that in the moment.
Appreciate it.
And then at another time when you can have a conversation about what would really be of value to you or a show of appreciation for you to be helpful or to show love or whatever it is, have those conversations so that you are successful more than not when you want to do something for the other person.
Right, and that's the key.
Because, Tony, because if I need you to sweep the floor, and it's not the dishes this time because there's so much sticky stuff on the floor, and I said, babe, could you please, it would really be helpful if you swept the floor for me, and you forgot about the floor, but you washed the dishes, and I come home and I'm like, oh my goodness, the floor is nasty. In your mind, it's like, but I washed the dishes.
I thought I took the layup. I did exactly what you wanted me to do. But for the sake of this topic, we're talking about appreciation. So you would feel as though I didn't appreciate it because I didn't do what you said. I didn't do what you wanted me to do. And then, of course, if you responded that way, I would feel like you didn't appreciate what I wanted you to do. So now we both I don't want to talk to you, and then we don't want to let each other in.
Right. Mm-hmm. So what was a good thing, you did a good thing, mm-hmm. my response should have been, "Oh, babe, thanks for washing the dishes, but this floor is still sticky. Can you get the floor for me?
Can you do it?" Yeah.
But that all comes with growing and learning and reading our book.
Yes. Yeah. Reading. To summarize, what we're really trying to really just stress tonight is focus on, and when we say focus, we're talking about laser-like focus. Focus on appreciating your spouse and letting your spouse know that they appreciate it. Use your words. For the men, sacrifice for her. Really sacrifice for her and let her know that she's more important to you than anything else that you can have going on. And you definitely want to compliment her. I said those are the two big things that I would say that you would do. I mean, even with something like the kids, if you guys have small children, say, compliment her on how she's taking care of the kids. Let her know that whatever she's doing, whether it may seem insignificant, well, not necessarily insignificant. If you think that's her job and her duty, even if that's your perspective, which it isn't, it's your team, but that's not the topic of this conversation. But compliment her on what she's doing and how she's doing it. Let her know that you really appreciate it, because now you can actually take some of that burden off of her and she won't feel overwhelmed. And you know what? She just might like you a little better because you notice what she's doing.
And it's a great tie-in to what we talked about last week. If you're searching for the good in your spouse, then that makes it also easier to show appreciation, because a lot of times, we do things based on how we grew up or things we've learned, and we don't take the word of God into consideration. Because God requires us to consider one another before we consider ourselves. The scripture you were talking about earlier, first of all, is to study your spouse.
Oh, I don't know if I talked about that earlier, but
no, you and I talked about it earlier.
Okay, yeah.
Dwell with her according to knowledge.
1 Peter 3:7, right?
Yes.
Right.
So that's one of the things that you can do, but it's not just the man doing that for the woman, it's the woman doing that also for the man. Because a lot of times we get stuck in what we've always done or what we've learned to do growing up or in past relationships, and the word of God gives us a new way of doing it. We can be washed and renewed by learning the word and using the word to figure out the best way to care and love for and appreciate the one whom God has given us.
And you got to be intentional. You have to be intentional. I mean, really focus on that. And also for the men, we talked about this too. I'll just bring it up now as we're about to wrap this up. But Ephesians 5:28, a lot of times, we like to talk about husband, love your wives. And, you are a lover as your own body. But the second part of that, to me, is just as important. And I would say is even more important, is because he who loves his wife loves himself. You're actually showing self-love when you actually love your wife. And one of the ways you love her, if you love something, I know there are many different definitions of love, but regardless of which definition you're looking at, whether it's phileo or eros or even agape, there's an appreciation that goes with it. Appreciation should come with that, and you should love yourself enough to love your spouse enough, your wife enough to appreciate her. And that scripture is directed towards the man. I would dare say, I think the women, it could probably also apply to women as well. If you love your husband enough, it's almost like you're loving yourself. And in the reality, it is true, because you guys are one flesh.
Right.
So you are loving yourself. So love yourself enough to really appreciate your wife, I know I'm being repetitive, but be intentional about appreciating your spouse, because if you are intentional, you will get the access. And I guess since we're on this topic, I would say to men, one of the things you can do to show appreciation to your wife as well is, and I know we don't really understand it. I don't think we will ever really understand it, but it is true because you've explained it to me so many times, is the non-sexual affection. From the man's perspective, he wants the sexual affection, and it's really important to him, and we can probably talk about that at some other time. But you want the sexual affection, but the reality is the best way to get the sexual affection is to give her the non-sexual affection. So in other words, when you hug her, the hands don't have to go down to the booty, right? And when you're kissing her, it can just be on the cheek. It doesn't have to. You don't have to always try to stick your tongue down her esophagus, right? That'll make her feel appreciated as well, and she won't feel like a sexual object. And by not feeling like a sexual object, then her attitude towards the man will usually be a little more loving and a little more embracing, as opposed to like, who are you and why are you coming at me this way? And, you make him feel all bad for coming at you. Then next thing you know, that turns into a fight. Right. And then nobody wants anybody, even though he still wants her. But, you can't get none, right? Because now y'all fighting. So, the non-sexual affection is actually one of the best ways, and I know it never makes sense to a man, but it's almost like accepting the fact that George Washington was the first president. They told you that he was the first one, so go ahead and believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Just go ahead and believe this. The non-sexual affection will actually make her more sexual.
And you know what? And it's not.
And she'll feel appreciated and will make her more sexual, I should say.
And in addition to the sex, though, the access is also into one another's hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Because we really do guard our hearts because of the number of times we unintentionally reject one another, disappoint one another, hurt one another. All of those things. By showing appreciation, we are also granting each other access to a deeper part of who we are. So the emotional bond is greater. And guess what happens when the emotional bond is greater?
What happens, babe?
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying. So there are layers to it. And when you practice, because you keep saying being intentional,
mm-hmm.
and I would say, just to break that down a little bit more, just be mindful. Think about opportunities. So intentional, yes, but
mm-hmm.
I'm saying it using different words so that when a man comes in the kitchen, if you see her doing something, always be thinking about what can I do? What can I say?
Make yourself useful.
Yes.
Oh, make yourself useful.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's what being intentional means. What can I do to make her life easier? Or what can I do to show him how much I appreciate or respect what he's doing? And if you do those things,
she will feel appreciated.
And so will he.
Mm-hmm. We need to
wrap
this up.
Okay. So at this point, we have a couple of things we want to offer to you. Again, the books are available on Amazon. You can get them there, or you can come and join us next Saturday. We will be having our book signing here in Owings Mills, Maryland. You can go to Empower to Engage, our Facebook page, and you can find the event there. All of the information is there. If you're in this area in the DMV, we would love for you to come and join us. Even Delaware, Philadelphia area, please come. There'll be plenty of food, plenty of people, and plenty of conversation around these very topics of love, marriage, family, and just how to do these things right, all to the glory of God.
All right. So I would say, husbands, go ahead and, as we sign off, go ahead and appreciate your wife. Go give her a compliment and go do some dishes, some laundry or something.
Clean up, do something, put the kids to bed, help with homework.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And we'll be back next Thursday. We will announce the topic early part of next week, and we will see you then. Thank you so much for joining us.
Peace.